The air smelled of pine and regret that night, sharp and bitter, as I stood on the porch of our cabin, the kind of place you'd see in a postcard, wooden beams, a creaking swing, and a view of the lake that could steal your breath. But the peace was gone, shattered by the screech of Karen's voice echoing from the gravel road. "You're breaking every rule in the Homeowners Association handbook," she'd screamed earlier that day, her manicured nails jabbing at a clipboard like it was a weapon. My wife, Ellie, had just wanted to paint our mailbox blue. Blue. That was the crime. Now, as the moon hung low, I heard boots crunching closer, and my stomach twisted. This wasn't about a mailbox anymore. This was war. Ellie was inside, her silhouette moving past the window, calm as ever, but I knew better. Her hands, steady as stone, had once held a sniper rifle in Fallujah. She didn't talk about it much, but the medals in our attic did. I'd seen her face down insurgents without flinching, yet here we were, in our own damn home, cornered by a suburban tyrant and her posse. Karen, the Homeowners Association president, had rallied her enforcers, 3 men in polo shirts, armed with flashlights and self-righteous fury, storming up our driveway like they owned the place. "You're done disrespecting our community," one shouted, his voice cracking with bravado. I gripped the porch railing, my knuckles white, heart pounding like a drum in my chest. They didn't know who they were messing with. It started 6 months ago when we bought this cabin in Pineview Estates, a gated community we thought was a haven. The lake sparkled, the trees whispered, and we imagined quiet weekends away from the city. But Karen, with her bleached hair and permanent scowl, had other plans. She'd knock on our door at dawn, citing violations: our grass was half an inch too long, our porch light too dim, our existence too offensive. Ellie tried reasoning with her once, offering a smile and a cup of coffee. Karen spat on our welcome mat. "You don't belong here," she hissed, eyes gleaming with venom. That was the moment Ellie's patience cracked, though she hid it behind a nod and a quiet, "Okay, Karen." The night air grew heavier now, thick with the scent of damp earth and impending chaos. I stepped inside, my boots thudding on the hardwood. "Ellie, they're coming," I whispered, my voice tight. She was in the kitchen, her back to me, rinsing a mug like it was just another Tuesday. But her shoulders were squared, her movements deliberate. "I know," she said, her voice low, like the hum of a storm brewing. She dried her hands, slow and precise, then turned to face me. Her eyes, green as the lake at dawn, held a fire I hadn't seen since her Marine days. "Get the kids to the back room," she said. No question, no hesitation. I obeyed, my heart a jackhammer. The kids, Lila, 6, and Max, 9, were already half asleep, curled under blankets. I scooped them up, their warm weight grounding me as I carried them to the guest room. "Stay here," I whispered, kissing their foreheads. Lila mumbled, "Is Mommy okay?" I forced a smile. "Mommy's got this." Back in the living room, the world felt like it was tilting. The flashlights outside bobbed closer, their beams slicing through the curtains. Karen's voice cut through the night again, shrill and triumphant. "You can't hide from us. We're filing liens tomorrow." Liens. For a mailbox. I wanted to laugh, but fear choked it down. Then came the knock, more like a pounding, the kind that rattles your bones. Ellie moved to the door, her steps silent, predatory. She cracked it open, and there was Karen, flanked by her goons, their faces flushed with the thrill of power. "You're in violation of Article 7, Section 3. Karen spat, waving her clipboard like a gavel. The men behind her, big guys, probably ex-frat boys who thought they were tough, grinned, one cracking his knuckles. "Step outside," the tallest one growled, his flashlight blinding me. "We're inspecting the property now." Ellie didn't move. "It's midnight," she said, her voice ice-cold. "Go home." Karen laughed, a sharp, grating sound that made my skin crawl. "You don't get to tell me what to do. This is my community." She leaned in, her perfume choking the air, something floral and cheap. "You think you're special because you were in the military? You're nothing here. That's when I saw it, the flicker in Ellie's eyes, the one that said she'd had enough. She stepped back, leaving the door open, and I knew what was coming. My breath caught, a mix of dread and awe. The men pushed inside, their boots scuffing our floor. One grabbed a lamp, inspecting it like it was evidence in a murder trial. "This isn't regulation wattage," he muttered, smirking. Another rifled through our mail on the counter. I wanted to scream, to shove them out, but Ellie's hand on my arm stopped me. "Let them," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Then she slipped into the hallway, silent as a shadow. I followed, my pulse racing, and saw her pull the case from under the couch. Her rifle case. The air shifted, heavy with the metallic tang of gun oil as she unzipped it. The rifle gleamed under the dim light, a relic of her past life, its scope polished to a deadly sheen. She didn't say a word, just assembled it with the precision of a surgeon, click, snap, clank. The sounds were a symphony of menace. I heard Karen's voice falter outside, sensing something was wrong. "What's she doing?" she snapped, her confidence cracking. The men froze, their flashlights trembling. Ellie stepped onto the porch, the rifle cradled in her arms, not raised, not yet. But the sight of it, the long barrel, the cold glint of the scope, was enough. "Get off my property," Ellie said, her voice steady, each word a bullet. The men stumbled back, their bravado evaporating. Karen's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Her clipboard fell to the ground, papers scattering in the dirt. You can't threaten us," she stammered, but her eyes were wide, her hands shaking. Ellie took one step forward, the porch creaking under her weight. "I'm not threatening," she said. "I'm promising. Leave, or I aim." The tallest man whimpered, actually whimpered, and tripped over a flower pot, sprawling into the gravel. The others bolted, their flashlights bouncing wildly as they fled down the drive. Karen stood her ground, but her face was pale, her breath hitching. "You'll regret this," she hissed, but it was weak, a desperate bluff. Ellie leaned in, her voice dropping to a whisper that carried like a blade. "Try me, Karen." That was it. Karen turned and ran, her heels clicking frantically, her silhouette swallowed by the dark. The night fell silent again, save for the soft rustle of pines and my own ragged breathing. Ellie lowered the rifle, her shoulders slumping, a sigh escaping her lips. She looked at me, and for a moment, I saw the weight of it all, the years of war, the battles she'd fought, the ones she was still fighting. We didn't sleep that night. We sat on the porch, the rifle back in its case, the kids asleep inside. The lake shimmered under the moon, and I could still smell Karen's perfume lingering in the air, now mixed with the faint tang of gun oil. "You okay?" I asked, my voice hoarse. Ellie nodded, but her eyes were distant, haunted. "I just wanted a home," she said, her voice breaking. "A place for us." I took her hand, her calluses rough against my skin, and squeezed. "We've got it," I said. "And no one's taking it." The next morning, word spread. A neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, stopped by with a casserole and a story. She'd been at the homeowners association meeting when Karen tried to rally more enforcers, only to be shouted down. Turns out, Karen's reign of terror wasn't just our problem, half the neighborhood was done with her fines, her rules, her clipboard. By noon, a petition was circulating to oust her as president. By evening, she was packing her Lexus, her face red with fury as neighbors watched from their porches. Justice wasn't just Ellie's rifle, it was the community finally saying enough. We painted the mailbox blue the next day. Ellie stood back, paint smudged on her cheek, and smiled for the first time in weeks. The kids ran around her, laughing, their voices echoing across the lake. I watched her, my Marine, my wife, and felt a surge of pride so fierce it hurt. Sometimes, standing your ground isn't just about fighting, it's about reminding the world who you are. And Ellie? She was a force, a beacon, a woman who'd faced down hell and come out stronger. Karen never stood a chance.